Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this particular video, we'll be looking into implementation of Langchain Semantic Chunking strategy. If you remember, in one of the previous video, we have seen the semantic chunking strategy. We have created our own custom function through which we were simply creating chunks using the semantic strategy. Now we'll learn how we can simply use the Langchain's semantic chunker, which is an inbuilt functionality. We can simply use it and create chunks in a very simple way. So we'll be looking into that in this particular video. So without further delay, let's start this video. Now, the very first thing that we require for creating any chunking strategy, we will require data. So I'll simply take the same data that we have used before. So now what I have done over here is I've simply read a PDF using the PyPDF loader from Langchain document loaders. Now I have simply passed on the name of the PDF in this particular functionality, and I've simply loaded the documents. So what it will do is it will simply parse the PDF page wise and it will take out the content from it. Our document variable will now contain the contents in the PDF page wise. So let's execute this. It will take a while and we can simply see that the page content has got retrieved for each and every page. You can also see the metadata over here, the source and the page number. Now before using the separate document objects for each page, we'll simply merge all of them. We'll simply merge the page content of all these documents. Now we are doing this to get the most out of the semantic chunking strategy because it works by combining the similar meaning chunks with each other. So if two pages are containing data from a particular topic which has to be contained in one single chunk, if we merge it, then only it will get jotted in a single chunk. Otherwise, different chunks will be created for each page, and if there is a particular topic that is spreaded in two pages or three pages, then it won't be considered into a single chunk. So that is why we'll be merging the entire page content of all these pages. What we'll do is we'll simply parse onto this document variable. I'll simply create a variable, say content, and I'll be appending the string in this particular variable. So for each page, what I want is C equals, that means the current page content, C equals I dot page content, and then what I'll do is I'll simply add this particular C current page content with the global variable content, so that we can get the data from all the pages into one single variable as a string. So let's run this and let's check our content variable. So yes, you can see the entire text has now got into a single variable. Now since we are performing semantic chunking strategy, what we'll require? We'll require embedding model, the hero of this particular strategy. So I'll simply paste the code for it. I'm using sentence transformer library, using which I'm loading this particular model GT large, and this model you can easily get on Hugging Face. I have already told you how to access this particular model. I already told you how I got this particular path from Hugging Face. So you can just check out the video of custom semantic chunking that we have implemented in one of the video inside generative AI playlist. So I would recommend you to watch it. So we'll simply run this particular code. This will simply load our embedding model into the variable embedding. Now that our embedding model has got loaded, we'll simply import the Langchain Semantic Chunker. So from Langchain underscore experimental dot text splitter, you simply have to import the module Semantic Chunker. Now, if you don't have Langchain underscore experimental library, you can simply install it using pip install Langchain underscore experimental. So we'll simply execute this. Now we'll simply create an object of text splitter. We'll name it as text splitter. And what we'll do is we'll simply use this particular module semantic chunker, inside which we'll have to pass on our embedding model. So let's pass on the embedding variable into which we have loaded the model. Let's execute this. Now what I'll do is I'll simply create docs variable. We'll simply use the object text underscore splitter dot split documents, and then inside this we'll pass on the variable content. Let's execute this. Okay, so we have got an error saying that it doesn't contain page content. So now over here what we want is we have simply used this particular variable as it is as a string. What we'll do is we'll simply create a document object of it. I'll use the Langchain document. So I'll have to import it. Let me do that from Langchain dot schema import document. So we'll create a document object of our content. So I'll simply write page content equals the content which we have inside the variable content, and we'll store it again in the variable content. So let's execute this. Okay, cool. So now we have it in a document form object format, and since we are passing one single document over here, so we'll simply use a list. Now let's try to execute this. Okay, so we have got a big fat error stating that the sentence transformer has no attribute embed documents. Okay, so this error is not related to the format in which we are passing the data. It's related to the embedding model format that we are passing. So what we are doing is we are simply loading the model over here and we are passing it as it is. It states that the embedding model has no attribute embed documents. So this Langchain's semantic chunker requires the embed documents module through which it can access our embedding model and create embeddings of any text that we pass on to it, so that it can create semantic chunks out of it. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to create a wrapper on top of this embedding model, which will contain the embed documents function. What it will do is it will simply create the embeddings of the any user query, or let's say a text, because Langchain requires it in that format. So we'll simply create a custom class. So let's do that. We'll define a class. Let's say its name as document embedder. Now we'll define a constructor. We'll simply take the model name inside this. What's our model name? It's this. We'll copy this and then we'll write self.model and we'll call this, so that whenever this particular class object is created, our model will get loaded so that we can create embeddings out of it. Now we'll define the function that Langchain Semantic Chunker requires, that is embed documents. So let's do that. What this function will take, it will take the self parameter and the documents. And what we'll do is we'll simply return self dot model dot encode. Now this encode function inside our model will simply create embeddings of the text that we pass on to it. So what we'll do is we'll simply pass on the documents, because we have to create embeddings of the documents that we pass on into it. We'll simply apply a simple validation over here that if not is instance, that means if the documents is not an instance of list, then in that case it should raise a value error. So let's do that. Raise value error. Inside this, we'll simply write documents should be provided as a list of strings. Now that we have created this, we'll simply create an object of it. Let's name it as embedder, and we'll create an object of it. Now to test whether this is working or not, we'll simply create a list. Okay, so we haven't used the variable model name over here. So you can simply use this variable name because we already have defined the value to it instead of defining it again over here. Cool. Now inside this D variable, we'll simply create a list of the text. So this is Yash here. I love generative AI. And what we'll do is we'll simply create embeddings of it. So we'll call the object embedder dot. Now since we have the embed documents functionality already defined inside this particular class, we can simply use it. We'll simply pass on D over here, and let's check whether we are getting embeddings or not. Cool, we are getting it. See, we have got two different arrays which are nothing but the embeddings of two different documents that we have passed on over here. So that means our embedding model object is now ready, and we can simply use it in our semantic chunker. So let's copy this particular embedder object, and instead of passing on the embedding which contains the loaded model, we'll simply write the object that we have created over here of the class that we have defined, document embedder. Now let's run this particular cell, and now let's try to create chunks using the semantic chunker, which uses this particular embedding model in the backend. So let's execute this. Okay, so it's now executing. It will take some time. Cool. So you can see our chunks has now got ready. Now you can see it has got created. Now let's try to see our very first chunk. Let's print docs of 0 dot page content. Let's print it. So that's a huge chunk that we have got. Let's see whether it is relevant. Cool. So you can see whatever chunk we are getting over here, the the entire text inside it is related to the photosynthesis process. You can see each and every statement inside this is actually relevant and has to be a part of a single chunk. The chemical reactions, the cycles that photosynthesis process involves, the different the different processes and definitions that it actually has to be a part of a single topic is considered inside a single chunk. So you can see how powerful this Langchain Semantic Chunker is. Let's try to check the other chunks too. So if we access the first index chunk, you can see it's something like this. It has considered this particular sequence as a different chunk because it finds the similarity between this chunk and the previous chunk to be lesser. That is why it is a part of a different chunk. Let's check the third chunk. You can see the third chunk is completely related to the nervous system, which is a different part of our PDF. Let's see how big it is. You can see almost it has covered the entire topic, and no doubt it has to consider because this particular entire chunk is actually very much relevant. It contains data of the same topic, that is nervous system. So according to me, this particular strategy is very much powerful and it's working really nice. I think we are at the end of the chunks that we have created. Let's try to access the fourth chunk and we will get an error. So yes, we have got three chunks out of this. Now that I have told you all the pros of this particular chunking strategy, let me tell you the con of this. This particular strategy might create chunks which can be bigger. So it might create an issue while uploading it in the vector stores, as well as it might create an issue while simply sending this particular chunks into the large language model, because every large language model context input is not that high, so it might create an issue. So I hope you might have got the idea of Langchain semantic chunking strategy, and I hope you must have understood how powerful it is. So this brings us to the end of the video. We have seen the entire things about the Langchain semantic chunking strategy. I hope everything is clear. If you guys have any single doubt, then you can straight away put it in the comment section. I'll be happy to solve it. For more such videos, do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Also hit the bell icon and don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Please join me on Telegram. Thanks for watching. Have a good day ahead.